and welcome to part number 9 in chapter 2. We're learning the Blender basics and it's now time to focus on modifiers. These tools make it ourselves easier to model. If we want, for example, add something advanced and we want to do that quickly, modifiers are there to do this. So this sounds, I understand, like, okay, well, show me. Well, I will show you. There are 6 modifiers what I think are very interesting to highlight and we're going to use in this course. So I already explained which one there were, and we now start with 3 of them. That's the array, the bevel, and the boolean. We go to Blender. This is the cube we created, so we go to File, Save As, and Dice. There we go, Dice, bang, save as Blender file. Okay, and let's go for a new Blender file. New. All right, modifiers. I want to start with the array. So where can we use it for? Well, besides that I show you where you can use it, I want to show you how it reacts when we apply it. And later in the lectures, in the chapters, you will see what is a good function of it. So we go to this wrench tool. There is add modifier. We click it. We have that bunch of tools and we click array. And the cube is extending. When we go to edit mode, you can see we cannot really click it. So it's sort of a duplication we cannot touch. But if we touch this one, it's a sort of a mirror, but it's not. It's the array. So you can see how many Blender units it is moving. So right now it's moving 1 Blender unit on the right. So change this to 2. All right, there it goes. And it has a count of 2. Now let's make this 3. So you can duplicate your object, but you still have one main, and if you change the core object, they were all changing. So very important to understand that. Another great thing is that you can add multiple arrays. So we now add one more, and it's looking weird, I agree, but what we want to do is we now focus on this array and making this value 0, focusing on this value, and pick 2, there we go, and make it a count of 3. So you can even add a third one, array, and you understand that I make this 0, make this 2, and make this 3. And we have a sort of cube, massive cube with cubes inside. Very funny. Of course, this does not really have a function, and if we move one, they're moving all in once. But yeah, you get a point. It's easy duplications, and sometimes for window frames it's very useful, or creating nature objects like a flower and you want to duplicate the leaves. It's a great tool. So yeah, this is the array. But are we going to remove them? Because I want to show you the bevel. And we already learned this, that we can press Ctrl B in edit mode. But there is also a modifier for this. Ctrl B, you can apply this. So we go to add modifier and bevel. So you can see the bevel right there. And you can change the width right there by changing this. Ctrl Z, the segments. And you can do this by scrolling around on your mouse wheel, doing this by hand. But this modifier is, when you do it by hand on a keyboard, you cannot, you can undo it, but you have to do it all over again. So let's show you, I'm pressing this I, so it will all removed. So Ctrl B, we scroll this. This is the same result, but if we click, it's set, and we have no toolbar to change this. Oh, well, there is. But if we do hit tab, it's gone. And here you can still tweak that. So it's very good to keep in mind. There's that this bevel modifier is sort of an extra save to help you with deciding how it looks like. So enabling this eye, and you can see a camera and an eye. If I disable the camera, nothing happens, but if I disable the eye, it's removing. That has everything to do that when I make a render and this is applied, it will not show up in the viewport, but it will render the bevel. So if I enable this eye and disable it, it will show up in the viewport, but it will not be seen in the render. So to make that clear, like if we enable this and we make a render, I hit F12, it's rendering very fast, you can see that works out. But if I disable this camera, it looks like this cube, but if I hit F12, it still renders the cube. So that's the function of this camera. Alright, so it's not about rendering, this is about the bevel. So yeah, you can do it by hand, and you still have the option here in the tab, but when you press tab, it removes and you can't undo, only by Ctrl Z. So yeah, removing it, and there is our default cube. Okay, there is one more thing that I like to show you in this lecture, and that's the Boolean. And the Boolean is the master of all modifiers, because you can cut holes in your objects wherever you want. So we already tried this a little bit by selecting these vertices, pressing E, S, scale this, E again, scale this inside. So this is a sort of way of adding a hole, but the other side is still a flat face. So sometimes this works out, but I would like to show you how it works with the Boolean, so we have a perfect hole in this cube. Alright, Ctrl Z. Alright, it has 12 vertices, that is not good. So now it's 8, so I had double vertices. Okay, I start with scaling this object. I press S, no, S2. Okay, so it's now sized. Yeah. It has the wrong scale, so that's not good. Edit mode, Ctrl L, S2, bigger, SY, SX. You can use a snapping tool if you like. Something like so. Okay. And now I want to cut the hole in this object. So the Boolean works with having two objects. So this is the main cube. And we'll add a new cube, mesh cube. And this is going to be our cutter object. So to make that easy, we call this cutter. Alright. Now let's scale this a little bit. So, perfect. No, there we go. This is going very easily. I'm scaling in the object mode. See, it happens sometimes, even when you use Blender a lot. It can happen. So we go to edit mode and scale this. Okay, SY, SX, let's scale this a bit more. When it's perfectly inside. Okay, tab. So scale is right and scale is right from that one as well. Okay, so this is the cutter and this is the cube. And now I want to use the Boolean. So I'm selecting this cutter, shift holding right mouse click, so now select, they're both selected. We go to the modifier tab, add modifier, Boolean, and it displays red, so it's missing something. So if we go to the object, you can say, oh, there's the cutter. So now it knows, okay, they're now interacting with each other, but it goes wrong because it's using the intersection. And you need to click it and make a difference. And we need to apply this. And now if we select the cutter, press X and delete it, we have a hole inside it. Alright, that's how this works. So it's a bit trial and error, but it's fun. So we can also Ctrl Z, so we have it back again, and we move this right there in the corner. Shift, right mouse button click, select cutter, difference, and apply, and remove it. So you can see it looks like that. Problem with the cutter, and this is really something to keep in mind, is that your geometry, your mesh, has wicked faces, or yeah, your typology is not that great. And that's something to keep in mind, because you want to have a little bit more control. If you're going to work with textures and this is your, like, your sort of a face you have, it's not that great. And there is an option to having more control in your mesh. So I'm going back. So it's back there. I want to have this thing in the middle. Scatter. We go to edit mode, tab, and we add some lines. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Right there. Cool. Okay, we select this cube, select the object, cutter, difference, apply, remove this, and now you can see it's still having a little bit of, it's not perfectly in the middle, but it's not affecting the whole cube, and that is what you want when you cut a hole in it, that you still have a clean working space. So in later lectures we go more into this and why it's so useful, but yeah, you need to work on this. Very important, very key. Alright, so this is the end of this lecture. So we learned to work with array, the bevel, and the boolean. Three very important modifiers we're going to use in this course. And in the next lecture we will work with the subdivision. I will show you. We will work with the mirror, subdivision surface, and the displace. So yeah, that's it. So see you in the next lecture. Bye bye.